Hi guys, it's me, Dan. Jake has requested that I put a little disclaimer at the beginning of this particular podcast episode that there is some very foul language that some may find offensive. Personally, I do not find it offensive. But if you do, I don't apologize. But if you don't want to listen to some bad language, maybe this isn't the podcast for you. Enjoy.
Oh.
Gosh. Welcome to One Foot in the Grave. I'm Dan.
I'm Jake. Good day.
Today I have nothing for you all. So
it's Easter.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Well, you did go to a Klan rally.
Yes. I should post that picture.
What? What in the hell was that all about?
That was the weirdest thing I've ever been to. It was like the hokiness of Disney with the imagination of a 3-year-old.
What was it called?
The Australian Outback Spectacular.
Oh. I'm getting my own voice back through your microphone. So you may have to turn your headphone volume down a little bit.
Oh. Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better, listeners?
Write in to onefootinthegrave@gmail.com and let us know if that's better.
Well, speaking of which, today I'm going to be covering Jill's story of Dreamtime medium.
Wait, Jill or
Jill.
Lisa?
We've already done
yeah.
Lisa's. Lisa's going to send us another one. Also,
yeah.
Lisa received her shirt.
Yeah.
So,
and she sent us a picture, and she's taking a picture of like the back of the shirt in the mirror, and I was like, no way, same hand soap. So we're all, it's like a trio.
There you go.
We are a trio
Well done.
of morons.
Well done, soft soap. Well done in your marketing. Australia, Canada, Nebraska.
Well, cheers to everyone out there.
Yeah.
I had prepared a Chernobyl story. We did the radioactive Boy Scout last time, which is, I think, the favorite one of mine that I've done. But
yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't very haunted or true crimey.
No, but it's true crime. The guy built an illegal reactor. I like the true crime ones where either no one gets hurt or thousands of people get hurt, depending on how you look at it.
Next week, 9/11.
We all had a great laugh. That story really towers above the rest.
Oh, Jake.
I'm sorry. I was trying to think of a non-offensive 9/11 joke that I could make.
There are none.
No, there are none. It's still too soon.
Yeah. Every one of them comes down like a lead balloon.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's terrible. Did
the Mythbusters do a lead balloon and did it fly?
Yes.
So a lead balloon doesn't actually fall.
Well, it depends on the surface to volume ratio, right?
I suppose
the bigger
it
something
depends.
gets, the more volume it can hold.
Yeah, right. I suppose like the age-old saying went down like a lead balloon is thinking of a solid lead balloon. Yeah. Yeah. They weren't like, ooh, let's fill it with helium.
Riveting.
Yeah. Lead is heavy.
On the Led Zeppelin album cover, is it a picture of the Hindenburg crashing?
Yep.
Okay. See, so like tragedy's okay, about 100 years later, you can turn it into an album.
Yeah, when there's no living relatives that are going to be offended.
Well, there are always going to be living relatives, but if they
won't be offended. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So like we should be, within our lifetime able to make fun of some pretty horrific things that have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we should be able to talk about
Waco, Texas, for example.
Yeah, and the Road of Bones,
Yeah. Their bridge over the River Kwai.
Yeah.
All these things.
Yeah. Ming Dynasty.
Chernobyl. Hopefully.
No. Well, yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but everyone was really dead or
Well,
Um,
interestingly, I'll just get right into it. I mean,
well,
oh wait,
I
there
I
is some
think
stuff we need to talk about. First of
wait,
all,
there
the
is
fact that your bidet broke.
my bidet. No.
We need a bidet update. A
Uh,
bidet up bidet.
Rest in piss. um, my bidet turned into a bathroom fountain. But luckily I learned how it actually worked. There was a little insert that came out when you washed your asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know why I developed a stutter for asshole. Um,
It's like a little bit Tourette's. Like,
my
asshole,
asshole.
cock, sucker.
Gain is slicker. Yeah, so a little thing came out and pointed directly at the anus. And I call it the tet anus. So anyway, yeah, it slipped out and decided to shoot water up into the ceiling
Huh.
at incredible speed. And then I was at work when Erin called me and told me that it was happening. And little did I know she was just being a cunt and not
Wait, you can't say
Just-
that.
dirty cunt. She had turned it off and done everything
Sorry.
properly.
Sorry, Pastor Rob. Again, this has just been. I saw Pastor Rob today at the Easter service,
Aw,
and he like gave me a little hug, but he did not approve of me.
he was
I
like,
was like,
I'm praying for you.
why did anyone ever tell our pastor about this podcast?
Thanks, Jill. Jill,
Yeah.
you know the Jill I'm talking about. Not
Yeah.
the one I'm going to read this one about, but you know who you are. You know
Yeah.
that you're now damned
You turned
to
us in.
eternal hellfire.
You got us excommunicated from the predominantly Korean church.
Yeah, way to lose your only English-speaking people in the church.
I really like that church, actually. We were there today. Everybody was super friendly, but because there was a tragedy in Sri Lanka this morning, they
There
had
was?
the church, eight bombs. Anyway,
In a
We
in a
won't.
Christian church?
yes, but we won't
probably-
get into the ins and outs of that because this is a more lighthearted podcast. But they had the police in our church today.
No.
Yeah,
That's
the first.
just being dramatic.
In my opinion, too. I don't think it was necessary. Of course. Sorry. It's always unnecessary until it's necessary.
Yeah, I know, but what are they going to do? Like, just get blown up with us?
Yeah, but you know what's weird? Like 6 years ago, I was watching the Boston Marathon and I was like, man, there are a lot of people watching that. And you could just see, like, from the helicopter shots, people were walking in and out. I was like, I can't believe there's no security there. And then I thought, what are
Yeah.
they going to do? Blow up the Boston Marathon? The next year. It's not, I'm not laughing because it's funny. But, yeah, so
Yeah.
you always,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm not telling you to live in fear. Just try not to worry about it. This
Just
would
don't.
be my...
Don't stand next to sketchy-looking people or empty backpacks.
Oh, speaking of that, so the guy standing behind us at the church was wearing the shortest short shorts I've ever seen in my life on a man. Such that
Ooh.
when he took long strides, his ball bag
Ruh-roh.
was clearly visible.
Like, that is a true fashion statement here in Australia. But
Do you
in
think they
Canada,
do it on
it's still a
purpose?
little
Like,
bit
do you think
risque.
do you think they want you to see their balls? Is that like a turn
Well,
on?
I think
Is
what
that the new
happens here
cleavage?
is that it's
Like
like
chicken
super
skin?
hot, right? So people are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna wear my short shorts and no undies." They call them stubbies here.
Just gonna wear my short
and
shorts
then,
and
like-
my Blundstones.
They're fine if you're doing like normal standing, but then as soon as you squat to hold a sheep or pose with a pig, as this man did on a pig raising magazine, your ball bag just hangs right out.
There are no women who are into the ball bag, I assume. It's not like cleavage. It's not like breasts
No.
to men. There's no
No, it's
equivalent
more
that
like-
goes the other way.
No. Yeah, I think it's more just like, oh, I can smell that from here between the pages.
Because it is
Oh.
exceptionally hot out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've often wondered what what the deal is with these short shorts, but this guy's were the shortest. They were so short. And I mean, we were in church and I was like, man, I can see his balls for like 100% see them. Just
Then
standing there.
why was it hot?
No, not at all.
No. So do you think that
He was wearing a
issues?
t-shirt. Well, he might have been a sex pervert, or he might have been a runner.
Apart from, what's the difference between a sex pervert and not a sex pervert?
I don't know why I added the first thing. That's like how Mom calls it sugar diabetes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no other diabetes.
Well, there is.
No, it's all sugar. There's central or... Oh, well, right.
Yeah.
Central or metabolic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't think Mom is thinking that. I don't think Mom knows about central diabetes from a brain tumor. She just calls it the sugar diabetes.
It'd be funny if she was like, well, Jake, I call it the sugar diabetes because it doesn't affect the renin-angiotensin serotonin system.
That's not... She says it like Wilford Brimley. Sugar diabetes.
Yeah. Oh, The Black Stallion. One of my favorite all-time shows.
Yeah, you did used to watch that. That's a Canadian reference, though, because that was a Canadian show. I don't think anybody else would get that. Yeah.
Oh. Well, there you go.
There was a store, speaking of Canadian content shows, around the corner from me that was called Little House on the Prairie. The guy's name was Perry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thought, nobody's going to buy shit from you. It was really expensive, too. Now it's called something furniture.
Now it's called For Lease.
Little House on the Go Fuck Yourself.
Yeah.
Just a bitter business owner.
Buy here or you're queer.
Oh, dear.
It
all rhymed.
That was
Poor
sincere.
Rob. I think poor Rob thought maybe he didn't know that we were joking when we said that Rob told us to hold a sign that says God hates fags. Because I think he was like really a little put off by that. So
did he mention it? Does he actually listen? Like that's my worry.
My sense was that he listens. So I kind of gave him a hug, and then I was like, I'm just going to explain on the next episode that he is not like that. We're very loving, open people. It's. Not
he does wear really short shorts, but apart from that,
yeah, and there's been a few weird incidents with the altar boys, but it's been.
I was mentioning. Fuck off, Jake. Jeez Louise.
We don't have altar boys.
We're Baptist.
I don't even think it's Baptist anymore. I think they've stopped paying up the chain. I think it's under its own name now.
Oh, they've gone independent.
I think the Baptist church was like, we've heard that podcast. You can't.
The Independent Church of Praying.
Have you considered the Church of Satan?
Jeez. Well, anyway, I was saying how my wife's a cunt. And
oh God, that's how this started.
I was at work, and she called me FaceTime, and she showed me what's happening, and she said, "It's your mess to clean up. I'm not cleaning this up. This is all on you." And she was being so serious, and I was like, "Oh, Aaron, just like turn the water off." Going, "Nope, I'm not. It's your problem." I was like, "Well, it's gonna like make everything swell and ruin all the stuff in the bathroom." "No, I don't care. It's on you." I said, "Well, at least put some towels down." She was really like getting me going. I was triggered. And she was like, "No, I've just put the seat down. It's just spraying into the toilet. And it's just like, I'm not touching it." And I was like trying to hold it together. Yeah. But in my head, I was going, "Just turn it off, you fucking bitch." And then she was like, "No, I'm just kidding. Of course I've turned it off." But I was like, "Why would you trigger me like that? Like, I'm at work. I'm already like stressed. I did not need this in my life."
If you got fired over a practical joke, that'd be hilarious.
Well, I mean, I can't fire. Well, I probably would fire myself if I could get a decent package.
I'm thinking of letting myself off on disability. Where it says injury, just right, retarded.
You can't say that anymore, Jake.
You can if you're describing yourself. I still think that's fair game.
Oh my goodness. I'm reading. Well, reading is is a generous word.
The both of you know I never learned to read a word.
I never read a word.
I cannot read a word.
I'm reading hashtag not reading. I'm listening to it on Audible. Pet Cemetery.
Oh, fuck, you're crazy. That is the scariest book in the
It
world.
is so good. Well, look, I mean, for those who have read it, you can continue listening. For those who haven't, I'm just at the point where the kid has died.
Oh my God.
And he's contemplating burying it in the pet cemetery. So I don't know what happens after that. For me, it's not scary yet. So
Yeah, but you do have a lack of ability to feel fear over things in the media.
or anything at all. Like
I'm going to say,
last
interestingly.
last night I did get a fright because Aaron was backing the car up, the big truck, and Elijah was running towards it, and he got to the car, and she continued to back up. And
Oh my God.
like,
and you're
I just,
reading that book.
well, I just let out like this primal, like it wasn't a word, it was just like a gorilla going whoa. like it was like stop in Neanderthal, and
Yeah.
I let that out, and she did stop. But I think Mum had also slapped her across the face and said, "Whoa!" You know how Mum does when she gets a fright in the car, and she does the hand out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that she had done that, and I think Aaron got the message, and Elijah filled his pants. So, so it definitely is sunk in.
So I read that book in Vancouver when I was doing my fellowship, and holy
Don't
fuck.
spoil it. No spoilers, though.
No,
because
but
I'm still
listen,
reading
I
it.
decided, first of all, I'm never having kids because that's...
And then you did.
I had nightmares. I had nightmares then about a kid that I hadn't had yet
Yeah.
over for months. And the...
See, for me, it made me go in and like hug my kids at night. Like I came
Oh,
in,
yeah.
because I listened to it in the car, and I came in and I was like, "Oh, I love you guys. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug, bye."
But like the other thing is when your kids are playing, like I would have normally been like an okay parent, go do your thing, have fun, check out the neighborhood, whatever. Now I'm like, if you go anywhere near the road, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah, our road is pretty far away though, and it has lots of fences between us and the road. And what bothered me is that they didn't build a fence in this book, which is like the first thing I would have done if I lived on a busy road and had children.
Yeah, but as a doctor, I can confirm the fact that you forget to do shit like that. I'm like, fuck, it's busy. I got a whole day ahead of me. There was something I was supposed to do. I don't...
But as a doctor, you
learn
also
how to
know
make
that
a
you're
fence.
not the one that is going to build the fence.
Well, you say that, but I
No,
tried to build a shed last year.
I know,
and
but
it collapsed on my wife.
The emphasis is on try. You should know better by now that we are okay enough off to hire people to do essential things for our house and for our children's well-being.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't
like,
re-roof a house. I can't re-shingle a house.
Alice was
Is
building...
can't the right word or won't? I won't.
Alice was building a garden, and she put all these very, very pointed sticks poking upwards all around the edge of the garden. She's like, there, now you can see where the garden is. And they said, that's beautiful, honey. Let's take them all down because you know that either you or your brother are going to trip and put that through your face. Like, it was just... That was how we would try to build something. Sorry, I'm going to cough because I'm sick.
And he's gone.
And I'm back.
There he is. You have the cold, do you?
Well, I've got whatever this respiratory virus is. I think it's the respiratory syncytial virus, the cough that lasts forever.
Yeah. I've had a cold for about a week and a half. It's funny, we were talking about your anhedonia and your inability to feel feelings, and how you were in a plane that nearly crashed just a couple weeks ago, and that it didn't bother you at all, and you were like, well,
not in the least.
Well, that's one way to go.
Yeah, I guess this is it.
And I've been laughing at you, and I shouldn't have, because this last 2 weeks since our last podcast, I've had a severe case of not give a fuckosis. Yes. I don't know. I don't
pretty
know
wonderful.
What it is. Well, it's also terrible because I'm like, well, I'm not gonna feel happy no matter what I do. So
no. So why do anything at all?
might as well just stuff my face with fucking ramen noodles. Like a...
Try ramen noodles straight from the packet. How many can I get in there before I choke and die? Let's try.
Suck the little fat packet out individually to lube up your throat for the dry ramen noodles you're about to crunch through. I think it's getting better today, but man, this last week, I think the weather's been shitty here, and I've been, as you know,
well, I think
mom and dad are on the river too, right? And the flood is coming up, and
just mum is just mum.
Oh yeah, right.
Dad's on the bay.
Yeah, he's sort of he's got a water view.
Yes,
a salt mine view anyway.
Yeah, so very salty.
Yeah.
So just mum's on the river, but if dad's on the river too, we've got some good content for the next year and a half for this fucking podcast.
I had a visitation dream from him last night. Well, from him. I mean, just a dream. I can't exactly remember what it was about. Something about Liftoff Capital and business.
Well, then it wasn't a real visitation dream.
One of my partners just moved to Toronto, and in this dream he was healthy, and he was saying, hey, this will be great for business because he can branch out and reach out to all the other startups there and blah, blah, blah. And it was, and then when I woke up, I was like, oh, that was totally realistic. But it doesn't affect me one way or the other, unlike mom.
Yeah, well, mum is still grieving pretty heavily. So it probably was poor timing to have a visitation dream. Because it was still, she was still hoping that dad was going to come back because she's in that, denial phase.
I mean, realistically, if she just pretended he was away on business, what's she got, like 2 or 3 years left herself?
Oh, jeez, chick.
She'd get by on denial for most of it. And then she'll die.
Oh, my gosh. Well, she got around this. We went to Dreamworld yesterday, and she got around that park way better than I would. Speaking of Anhedonia, that place, not great.
They didn't let you on the rides because of your weight?
Too fucking fat for all
Did
the
they
shit.
say that?
Well, fairly enough. We went to the children's part, so it's like, like they had a carousel, but you could see that it was put together with cardboard.
Yeah. That's not for you.
No, so I mean,
you need to go to Disney World where people ride mobility scooters. They're so fast, and they still get on the rides.
I was getting in line with Alice, and they said, "No, you understand the weight limits for the horses, right?" Like, as if I was like stupid enough to like be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get on this great big horse.
I'm gonna ride the Shetland pony." Sir, you're 400 pounds heavier than the Shetland pony.
Please, now, can you just stand on the opposite side as the other fat father who's here as well? This thing is pretty unstable.
Yeah.
And then Erin, of course,
ridiculously
jumps on the fucking pony because she's, again,
spry,
thin, cunt.
We need to put an apology, or like you should record just a short thing saying, there is some foul language in here. We don't take it as seriously in Australia as you are going to in North America. My friend Jason.
By the way, I've marked it as explicit, so I just don't think that it covers hate speech. So,
but they here now they're saying that word should be considered hate speech.
Cunt?
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, fuck, man, that's pretty lame. We say it all the time, and usually describing guys. Oh, that guy's being such a cunt. But but now I gotta check my privilege on that one because I don't have one and I'm not allowed to say it. I guess
you don't have a C card.
Yeah, I don't have the C card. I feel like there are some words for genitals that never come up in day-to-day conversation in their appropriate context, like pecker. Nobody, we all know what it is, but no one's ever said, "I want to suck your pecker."
No. Well, I mean, probably pedophiles do.
No one's ever called anyone a pecker sucker. Although I think I might start.
Well,
what?
Part of
pecker sucker.
So trying to be a little bit more PC in my workplace, instead of yelling out "fuck" when something happens, I yell out "cock." Ah, cock.
Yeah, that's a very English thing.
Yeah, it's great. But one of my nurses said that she doesn't use the word cock. So I'm like, well, like, I want show me the D. Like, I don't know.
uh, I don't think Chrissy's ever said the word cock either.
What?
Yeah.
No, she's like, come on, big boy, show me that pecker.
No, I'll tell you what. She says, should we do it? And I say, I'm pretty tired.
Should we do it? Should we do it?
Should we do the, Jack's
do
asleep?
the sex?
No.
No.
No, I might.
Should we hop on the good thing foot and do the bad thing?
No.
Nah.
If you're not married, just maybe don't get married. If you like intercourse, marriage is maybe not for you.
Unless you're ugly.
That's right. If you like over dramatic drunk roommates, you should have kids. But otherwise, maybe don't. Maybe don't go down this road, this dark road. It's all wonderful in the end when you get to
die.
Lose all your money on them, bailing them out of jail.
When you're dead, it doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah. Even then, it's probably like a lot of taxes that you have to do, like in the spiritual world. Like, well,
Yeah.
You've been out of the spiritual world for 70 years. You've got a lot of paperwork to do.
Oh my gosh. That's
Can you
purgatory.
Yeah.
That's purgatory.
It's all
purgatory is actually just H&R Block employees.
Yeah, and it's all done on like, you have to get Microsoft XP. You have to find a machine with it.
All you get is Windows 10.
There's no... Everything's like outdated by a few years and it's not available anymore. The drivers don't work. Yeah, I can see that happening.
There's not enough light to use your calculator.
It'll take me about 40 years.
Well,
I'll be in purgatory for 40 years.
That's pretty good because that's how long that 30 minutes of pornography cost you.
Should have never spanked it to the Skinamax that time in the hotel. I was lonely, goddammit.
Oh, don't say that. You weren't that lonely.
No, I just needed to drain the ball bag.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know. It's like an abscessed tooth. It's better just to let it off sometimes. Anyway.
So I'll let you go second because I'm going to read Jill, my high school friend, who's still a friend, but we met in high school. I'm going to read her comment that she put in. But first I'm going to let my dog out in my bedroom. Out of the... What do I say? The dread room.
The dread room. Do you have two dogs now? Two new dogs?
Just one new... Well, new to you. And one old, very old dog.
Scout.
Scout's still alive. Pete's dead. Susie came with the name. Susie...
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, Susie was going to be euthanized. But Aaron, who does not suffer from anhedonia, decided
buried
to
her
rescue
in the pet cemetery.
Well, she looks like it, though. Like, she's blind in both eyes, and her left eye,
what is it with Aaron and the fucking eyes?
The pearly old lens is luxated into the anterior chamber of the eye, so it constantly looks like she's looking at you, even when she's looking straight and you're on the side. It's like one of those paintings from the 1900s.
That's
follows
horrendous.
you around the room. Yeah, it's fucked, man. In order for her to jump on the bed, she has to line up sideways and then
take a sideways leap.
Yeah.
Oh God. What kind of dog is it?
It's a poodle? She's a poodle.
Why don't you just put it out of its misery when
Aaron's away? She seems really happy. The dog's really happy.
Oh, okay. That's different.
Yeah.
I guess there are lots of blind people. I shouldn't say put it out of its misery. I'm a dickhole. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, just kill them. I mean, what do they got to... They don't have anything to live for.
If you can't see, you should... just give up.
Oh my God.
They're like, I'm running the Boston Marathon, you fucker.
Meanwhile,
You should give up, fatty.
meanwhile, we're recording this on a podcast, which requires no sight. So, I mean,
So
if
it's
this is
like
all
a
that you
solid
have to live
30%
for,
of our audience.
yeah, there could very well be one blind person listening to this.
You know, I was thinking, like, what is it that makes My Favorite Murder so wildly successful? And yet we have 3 listeners. And then I started thinking about the political correctness, the adherence to social principles, and the fact that they don't make fun of blind people. Probably.
I don't know. I don't know, man. They also put effort in.
Well, they have a lot more money.
Yeah, they've quit their jobs to do podcasting.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? That's my dream, too.
Yeah. So if each one of you listening to this currently shares this with 20,000 of your friends, we can quit our jobs.
No. 20,000 just gets their foot in the door. That's like getting the minimum wage.
Well, that would be 60,000. I mean,
We'll sell a $5 ad per week. $2.50 each. It'll be for like...
well, if you combine that with the dole.
If you live in the downtown Naples area and you need plastic surgery, contact Dr. Lou at 333-5714. Yeah. Now, if we got famous, some moron would try to call that number that I just said.
I mean, you said 555, so we're going to be all sweet.
I think I said 333.
Well,
anyway.
it's actually 555 for Dr. Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so from Jill. Can you hear me all right? Because I'm sitting a fair way away from my desk.
I can. You're a little trebly because there's no bass response because you're sitting a fair way away from your desk, but that's okay.
Right.
Our listeners are... I think they've come to terms with the quality at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, if this is the...
Oh, sorry.
That one had some... That had
I had
some
a fizzy
bass to
water.
it.
That one had some chocolate undertones because I was eating some of Jack's eggs.
Ew, his chocolate Easter eggs.
Yes.
Saying that you're eating some of Jack's eggs sounds like you're something else.
I don't even know what that means. Yeah.
Well, I just imagine Jack laying an egg and then you're eating it. But because he doesn't lay eggs, it's clearly shit.
Can I, before you start, I just want to say one thing because I did a little bit more Sasquatch research this week.
Oh my gosh.
I just thought it would be fun. If you refer to the Sasquatch as a skunk ape, you're a pro.
Oh.
I love that.
I was watching this paranormal videos.
Who decided, first of all, there's a make-believe creature called the Sasquatch, and then somebody decided, I think they're referring to the skunk ape, a different make-believe creature. And then they wrote a paper about that.
I went to Dreamworld, and my belief in these mythological creatures is a little bit more cemented now because I saw the tree kangaroo, which is essentially a monkey.
Oh,
it's a monkey with a pouch.
One of those little monkeys?
No.
Big
Quite
monkey.
large. Size of a poodle, I'd say.
With a pouch. A poodle with a pouch.
Yeah.
It's a
and a baboon
poodle.
face. Oh. No, it's a tree kangaroo.
Now, is this like a real thing, or is this a cryptid that they've sewn together parts of different animals?
No, it was real. It moved. It scratched its face with its hind. I mean, it could be an animatronic, I suppose. I didn't see it move from the branch.
Were they saying that this is a rare thing, or is this just like an animal?
It's a thing. I saw Steve Irwin talk about them before.
All right.
Yeah. In
a
dream.
lesser-known marsupial.
It was a visitation dream where Steve Irwin showed me the tree kangaroo.
Now, you were quite broken up when Steve Irwin took the stingray barb to the heart.
Yeah. Well, even more broken up when he pulled the barb out.
It wasn't his best move. Really.
Yeah. Oh, look at this little beauty.
Isn't she gorgeous? Oh, fuck.
Son of a whore. They don't say son of a whore here.
No.
It's a crying shame. All right. Well, let me read this comment from my friend Jill. It says, I love the podcast. It's hilarious, which is no surprise. Thanks, Jill.
Yep, that's true. We're funny as hell.
That's all. No.
Yeah.
I was just listening to episode 2.3 where you were talking about dreams. That prompted me to send this. This is not how Jill speaks. This is how I speak.
How does Jill speak?
In the past, I'm Jill.
It was kind of like a Swedish accent when you did it.
In the past. In the past. I have started to have occasional dreams.
I've been having these dreams about my dead grandfather. He reaches out to touch me, but then I wake up and I am covered in semen. I think it is ectoplasm.
God. Okay. Oh my gosh. In the past few years, I have started to have occasional dreams that are very vivid and too real to ignore. I had a dream a couple of years ago that my cousin was pregnant. It was so fucking real, it made me question whether it was or not. I sent my cousin an email, she lives in Ottawa, and asked her, prefaced it was with, I know this is weird, but, and if she was pregnant. She immediately wrote back saying that she wasn't because it was almost Christmas and they were coming home, aka she wanted to get shit-faced.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're not pregnant.
Well,
no, there's no way I'm pregnant. I'm getting drunk next weekend. That's not an adequate form of birth control.
Well, the way that the new phase is to put vodka directly into your uterus. So
I'm drinking until I expel my endometrium. Come what may.
Oh my God. Guys, I'm going to get so drunk tonight. I brought a straw and a big bottle of vodka. My husband's going to take it and spit it right up in there. Oh my God.
Oh God. This is going to all the wrong places.
Yeah. Anyway, her cousin didn't do that.
No.
I sent my cousin an email. She lives in Ottawa. Right, read that one. Both of you know I cannot read a word. Christmas came a couple of months later, and we were all at dinner.
For Lisa, you got to explain. Both of you know I cannot read a word is one of the Canadian part of our heritage commercials.
Yeah, we're all illiterate.
We're illiterate. We called the country the wrong word. It's a sad history.
No, you're getting your things mixed up. This was because they wanted to have teachers teach children how to read.
Oh, I know, but I just mean in general, the part of our heritage commercials. So one of them is, I know the word, it means nation, and Canada is its name. And they're like, I'm sure it means the houses, the village.
The village, just down there, mate.
That's what they named the country after. It's all just a sad.
Yeah.
We did invent basketball, though.
Yep, James Naismith.
Yeah, he needed his peach baskets back, the janitor.
Yeah. I need my peach baskets back.
I needed those peach baskets back. Anyway,
still my favorite to this. Well, I mean, I've got to mention now the log driver.
Shit.
And we go whirling down the white waters.
That's where the log driver learns to get light. He goes whirling
down the white waters.
A log driver's life pleases girls completely.
That one's for free, Canada.
Yeah. Canada. This podcast is horrendous. I'm so sorry.
Look, I mean, we're 38 minutes in. I've read two paragraphs of what the podcast is about. And let me tell you, there's only 3.
Oh, fuck me.
All right, so Christmas came a couple of months later, and we were all at dinner. We had given our hugs and caught up, etc., etc. My cousin came over and gave me a gift. I unwrapped it, and the book was called How to Perfect Your Psychic Skills. I laughed and called her a bitch for making fun of me. Then she said, "No, Jill, I'm pregnant. You knew before we did." I nearly shit my pants. Then I cried. A real flurry of emotions. It turned out that when I sent her that message, she was 3 weeks pregnant. and I was the father. No.
Here's the
and
big question.
no.
Did she then get really roaring drunk when she came back? And then she was like so hungover, she went to the hospital. And they were like,
Yeah,
I
you're not
think just
hungover, love,
hungover."
but you're actually pregnant. And now your baby is going to be affected for life.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. That's cool. So we got two psychics listening to us. We got Jill and
I know.
and Lisa.
And what's really weird is that I saw this coming.
Do we have any skunk ape hunters? If so, write into onefootinthegrave.podcast@gmail.com. Share your skunk ape encounter story.
Yeah, I'd love people send me more stories. Jill, send me more. Lisa,
Yeah.
you said that you were going to send more, but you didn't. What the fuck?
I think she got freaked out when I was like, I have the same hand soap. She was like, this is too weird. I'm leaving.
I should post the photos of her wearing a shirt. Actually, a friend of mine said that she wants a free shirt.
You got to.
Hi, Kate.
So my friend Johnny said, I'd like one of those shirts. And I was like, yeah, no problem. And he's like, but I don't want the podcast shirt. I just the lift off Capital shirt that you mentioned.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I made another one for me. It's a black shirt because I keep dropping food on this white one.
Yeah, it is a problem. The white, I can see my chest hair through it.
Well,
And,
see, you get Fruit of the Loom, I think, over there, and I get Gildan.
so you get a nice shirt.
Mine's like thick cotton. It's good.
Mine's very thin. You would think it was some sort of papyrus.
Well, maybe what I should do is put 2 sugar skulls on it, one on each nip.
And that would cover up the
Or
the
just
shortcomings.
little balonies. Like, oh no, this is part of the shirt.
It's a slice of salami. All right. Well, thank you for your submissions, guys. That's been cool. I like hearing from people
I like
who actually
hearing.
listen
Well,
to the podcast.
it helps when I don't have time because I have literally worked every day for the last 2 weeks.
Every fucking day, and I'm working all of the next 2 weeks every day.
So this saved me from having to do any actual work for this podcast.
That's
I
good.
mean, let's be real. I still had to set up. So
Yeah.
I don't just like get to plug in my computer and talk on a microphone like Jake does. I've got a soundboard, I've got a computer, I've got the microphone, I've got the wires, and then I have to edit, which means I'm going to take out the little bit at number 24 where we got a little bit racial.
It wasn't really.
But yeah, I'll just take that one little moment out.
We'll just quickly trim the hate crime out of the podcast, and then
Yeah.
So
All right. So
Chernobyl.
you're talking about
Yeah.
some radio
More radioactive. This is. I mean, we joked about Fukushima. We are fucking assholes. But
I mean, well, definitely no one from Fukushima is listening. Just potentially people that are affected worldwide
Amazingly.
from that natural disaster that, from someone's ignorance and stupidity, ended up being a real problem.
what you mean Fukushima?
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, how Fukushima happened was that they had prepared for a tsunami, but just not one that big. And they put the fucking batteries for the backup in the basement of the building. That was a lot of bees. And so when it broke, when the flood came
the
over
reactor cracked. The reactor cracked.
Well, it only cracked because it was full of, like, it was never supposed to melt down, right? But they the flood got into the basement and took out their whole backup system. And there was there's Fukushima and Daimashima or something like that was just down the road.
No one's gonna know.
Anyway, they saved that one by having their power to a building that was a little bit up on a hill, and the guys literally
get
ran
the
this
extension
huge-
cord.
That's what they did. Honest to God, they brought in this huge extension cord that was like 30 pounds per foot and attached it like makeshift to the one building. To the output.
Could you imagine that poor
and then
fuckers
ran it across and
electricity
powered
bill?
their power plant with it. Yeah.
Honey, why is our power bill $4 million? I don't know. Oh no, it's because we gave it to
It
the
was
power
running
plant.
Fukushima for about a week and a half.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, we'll just ask them. We'll just ask them
Anyway,
for that back.
anyway, it was a quite a cool story because when I was doing Chernobyl, I looked at that one because I don't like the thing I don't like is getting onto the serious stuff. And 50 people died at Chernobyl, and then they think another 4,000 are going to die
Oh
due
well,
to the consequences of the meltdown. Right?
but also there are kids being born every day that like are around Chernobyl, and they're still being born with like defects secondary to the radiation.
Well, they had some hydrocephalus issues, remember, in Belarus and like downwind from the reactor. But they also, I think there are a lot of thyroid issues. But the weird thing is, if you look up the farm animals that have been born, a lot of like two-headed calves and a lot of like lambs with 20 legs, it's really fucked up.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I mean, that would be a real increase in the amount that you could sell those for. A rack
how
of
much?
lamb.
A rack of lamb like arachnid.
Yeah.
Yeah, arachnolamophobia. Um, anyway, so this all happened April 26, 1986, and it was just like to sort of set the scene, as we say.
We haven't said that in a
No,
year, probably.
yeah, I know. I realize
But
that.
for those diehard listeners, you know what we're
Who
talking
listened to
about.
season one. What
Also,
I
don't listen
tend
to
to go
season
on.
one.
No, it's all bad. So season two, you get what you pay for. Anyway, I'm going to go on a little political rant here, but
Oh, that's weird.
I don't think we have any Russian, Soviet era listeners.
I
but
mean, and if we did, they're very bad at hacking. Fuck
Yeah.
Jake.
Yeah, exactly. Since I work with a bunch of them, but no. So the big difference when you think about it, the capitalism has its faults: greed, stupidity, the inherent dangers of people becoming insanely wealthy, and oligarchies. But when you think of the way it worked in communist Russia and Ukraine, where Chernobyl is part of the Soviet bloc, they like you didn't, at least in capitalism, when you are running a power plant to make money, you hire
run
the
it
person.
well.
You hire the person who's going to be the smartest engineer to design the power plant. You hire the person who's going to be the best, who has the best understanding of how a nuclear power plant should run to
Hold on, I
run
just
it.
have to turn on the aircon. Continue.
But when it's not when your country owns the power plant, oh good lord, nope. Oh, I heard him pass some gas. We'll be discussing passing gas in a minute. But
Okay. What? Yeah. What? What?
I heard a squeaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm
what I
packing
was
some
saying
meat.
is like in the capitalist system, you take the best people to run a complex system because you
Oh,
need it
right.
to
You
make
didn't
money
get
and be
anywhere
safe.
just then.
Oh,
Okay.
you farted and I started laughing.
Right.
But if you're in Soviet Russia or like sometimes socialist Canada, you don't hire the best people. You hire friends of the politicians who run the company because the country owns the company. So you're not hiring people based on their merit or their ability to make money. You're hiring your cronies, or you're hiring the people who will do the best for the party, not for the power plant. So that's kind of what happened to these guys. So we're April 26, 1986. There's one engineer, the chief engineer is ironically this guy named Dyatlov, if you remember the Dyatlov Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a super smart dude. He's running the fourth turbine. So there's 4 actual reactors in Chernobyl.
My goodness, you speak just like Jeff Goldblum, but without any of the good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
It's if you
Oh my god.
if you put the drop of water on your, now which way do you think the water is going to? It goes because the hairs. There are small variabilities in the hairs on. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So there are four reactors at Chernobyl. And this is the 4th reactor. This is reactor number 4 that they're working on, and it's just opened. And the the big thing is that they wanted to test to see if they could, in a
Roast
shutdown.
marshmallows.
No. In a shutdown, what happens normally is that the diesel engines kick on, and then but it takes about 60 to 75 seconds for them to kick on. What they wanted to see is if, when it shuts down, the residual steam that's in the reactor making the turbine turn around can actually power the battery back up to run the reactor for that 60-second period, right? So that there's no time when there's no water pumping through the reactor. And like in a modern reactor, water actually water is necessary for the reaction to happen, because the neutrons that go between the rods of uranium are going so fast that the water actually attenuates them and slows them down, and then they can hit the next rod over. But in these old reactors, water actually slowed the reaction down, and if you took water away or made a steam void in the reaction started getting faster. So that is the basis of what I'm going to tell you. So early morning on April 26, 1986, they were supposed to run this safety test by turning the power down and then cutting the power to the turbine that draws the water into the reactor, like I said, and allow it to free spin for 40 seconds while a diesel backup comes online to pump water back into the reactor. They were supposed to bring the power level down to 700 megawatts from the reactor, but he wanted to bring the power lower, in theory, to make sure that the water in the reactor didn't boil off in that 60-second void, because he didn't want it to get out of control. But unfortunately, the system wasn't really designed to function at that low of a power, and the power stalled. So to restart the system, he pulled all the boron control rods out of the reactor. And basically, a reactor has your uranium rods, and then it has boron rods that go down the middle. And the boron absorbs a bunch of the reaction. So you can control how much criticality is happening between all the uranium that's in there, right? Anywho, I know this is fascinating to some.
Well, I mean,
like me.
The best true crime podcast ever.
Yeah. Well, this is a complete fucking disaster. So basically what happened was they had been all during the day shift getting ready to do this thing, but in the evening, a reactor in Kiev went down, and so Chernobyl actually had to provide the power for all of that part of Kiev that was supplied by the other reactor. So nothing got done during the day shift, and they were running at this thing around 50% all day. And then just let me consult my notes here, because this is fucking complicated. And
Okay, so while Jake's consulting his notes,
I'm
I'll just
getting
recap about the boron rods and the uranium rods.
Boron slows things down. That's your control rod.
Boron,
okay.
and then water is
And the
necessary
uranium
to slow down the active particles from it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And then
okay, so here's the plan.
He's still reading. Okay, so
here's the plan.
So Chernobyl.
Here's the plan. He was supposed to test the reactor.
Something about also something about chicken Kiev. Chicken Kiev,
fucking
delicious.
Jesus, sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's terrible. It's Easter Sunday, for heaven's sake. Okay. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? This is all going to go tits up. Listen,
it's going to get interesting. The chicken Kiev, cheesy chicken breaded.
This is the worst.
Baked in the oven.
Here's the plan.
Non-electrical oven, because there's no electricity in Kiev. Okay.
Right. Run the reactor in low power state between 700 to 800 megawatts. Run the turbine at full speed. Then they're supposed to shut off the steam supply to the turbine and measure the electrical output when it winds down. Then let the diesel generators come online, and then the test is over. The day shift prepared the test, but at 1:06 p.m. on April 25th, they brought the power down to 3,200 megawatts, and then it reached 50%, so 1,600 megawatts. But then the power plant in Kiev went offline unexpectedly, so they postponed the test, and during the peak power demand, they wanted to make sure they had enough power for Kiev. They did disable the emergency core cooling system at that point for some reason, because this is Russia. Well, it's the Ukraine, but because it gets hot. Soviet. It's hot. Yeah, they wanted the cooling. Yeah. At 11:04 p.m., the Kiev controller, who runs the whole country's system, allowed the shutdown to proceed, which of course led to a shift change. Led into the shift change. One of the night shift engineers lowered the control rods a bit too far, and this is not Dyatlov, it's one of the guys under him. And the reactor was saturated with xenon-135, which is a neutron absorber. That's called reactor poisoning when that happens. If you went to high school and paid attention in your AP physics class instead of completely fucking off, you would remember all this stuff.
No, well, the boron rods were too low. So the main thing is, don't worry about the xenon.
Well, he poisoned the reactor and basically stalled it.
He stalled it. White daylight glow to your headlights.
It's true.
Xenon.
So it entered the shutdown state, and that caused an unstable core temperature and variable flow of intake water, because now they've saturated the thing and they don't know where the power is coming from, and it's not generating enough power to run the pumps to turn on to suck water into it. They started getting alarms about the water levels, which they of course ignored in hopes of generating increased power by letting the water run down, because like I said, in most reactors you need water, and here without water it goes haywire, right?
Go cray cray.
The control room staff turned off the automatic control rod positioning program, of course, and pulled out all the rods manually to their most outward positions, hoping to jumpstart the thing. This is like running with a motorcycle with the clutch in second gear, and then popping the clutch when you kill the battery by mistake.
Well, it's like taking you wouldn't do this. It's a bad idea.
Everything is a bad idea that's happening right now. At this point, you would say, okay, we're going to postpone this test. But if you're working for the fucking party and you know they're going to throw you in the Siberian gulag if you don't get this done, you're going to do it anyway. Eventually, they got the power level to 200 megawatts and they began the test. So at 1:23 a.m., the steam to the turbines was redirected. So the turbines basically didn't have anything driving them. The power to the main circulating pumps was to be redirected from the turbine as it wound down. And this was the test, right, to see if the thing could run on its own. The diesel generators began picking up loads, but as the turbine wound down, the power it provided to the main control pumps decreased, creating steam bubbles in the core. And like I said, steam actually speeds up how fast the reaction starts happening. So that's it's called a water break, and they don't, that's stupid. A positive feedback loop began where more steam meant more reactions were occurring in a chain reaction, which created more heat and therefore more steam.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. The automatic chain reaction. The automatic system, which had control of only 12 rods, dropped them all into the reactor. It's called a scram, and that was trying to shut the thing down.
Lots of boron.
And in the control room, exactly, all the boron goes in. In the control room, they switched the EPS-5 emergency shutdown switch, but that lowered all the control rods into the reactor to shut it down. But this is where it all kind of went tits up, because for some fucked up reason, they had tipped all the control rods with graphite, and the control rods move about 40 centimeters a second, so they don't just plunk down; they kind of get hydraulically inserted, right? Mm-hmm. And as the graphite tip went into the reactor that was already overreacting,
it melted.
It went totally supercritical, and then everything just melted instantly, and steam pressure was building and building and building inside the place, and then all of a sudden, as they put this thing in. And the heat went exponentially higher. There was a power spike of 3,000 times what the reactor was supposed to handle. The steam basically blew the entire roof off the reactor. So in a modern reactor, your reactor is in the middle, then it's encased in concrete. It's a pressure vessel in the middle, and then there's concrete around it, and then there's an outer casing. But in this one, there's no outer casing, right? So it basically just lifted all these big carbon blocks off the top, or lead blocks, just blasted them everywhere, and 2 people were vaporized essentially instantaneously.
It's a good way to go.
Well, compared to the alternative, it's not bad, because then they started walking through the halls of the reactor, and they were finding all these people who were steam burned and stuff, and they were trying to get people out, but within 5 minutes of doing a search and rescue, people started vomiting, puking up blood, shitting themselves. acute radiation poisoning. There were two guys fishing who saw the fire from like I don't know how far it was, but when it shows it on the little clip on the Discovery Channel, it looked like it was they were about a kilometer away. They both succumbed, and dust from the debris, because the core has become this substance, they call it corium, right? And it's actually like this lava that's mostly uranium and graphite and melted cement and stuff. It's dripping down through the bottom of the reactor. Now it's going into all the hallways in the place, and it's blasting all this dust everywhere, and that gets in the ventilation system. So
no good.
As far as we know, 50 people died, but they also, the KGB sent teams in to investigate, and they actually sent people down into the hallways and down into the basement after, a couple days after.
Yeah,
well, and they filmed, have you ever heard of the elephant's foot? It's
the Elephant Man? Yeah. I thought that was in India, though. I thought it was just lymphatic drainage
baba.
Issue, but whatever.
But that's what this
I guess
thing
we could
looks
blame
like.
radiation.
It's basically the core of the reactor melted through all the floors and ended up in this sub-basement in Chernobyl. And the guys who filmed it, would have definitely died of acute radiation poisoning. And even the people who, like, all the firefighters who were on the roof of the building, tons of them got sick. They say 50 people died. It's probably more than that, though. Russia.
It'd be millions, I reckon, since then.
Well, they're saying a total of 4,000 are expected. They kind of got lucky the way the wind was blowing away from Pripyat, which is the city. But when you think of Chernobyl, I always think of that, the Ferris wheel in Pripyat. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Anyway, they built an entire city for this power plant, basically, and they ended up evacuating it. It's kind of this haunted, like, empty city that now you can go do tours of.
Yeah.
If you're not too concerned about radiation.
Yeah, if you've already had children.
Yeah, but it's super cool. I mean, the whole thing was just
no, actually,
so
it was superheated.
Yeah, they built to contain it because it was still blowing out steam and stuff, radioactive steam, and because they weren't sure if that core was just going to keep tunneling into the earth, right? Because it was so hot and it's all reacting uranium-235 or whatever. They built what's called a sarcophagus over the entire building, and it's this big, like, lead sarcophagus. 600,000 people they had working on it, and
they didn't have any modern technology. They had to.
Well, it was 1986.
They
used
that
logs.
The pyramids of Giza are impressive. These are lead.
The sarcophagus
blocks.
of Pripyat. But that thing's starting to fall apart, believe it or not, and the radiation counts I think had started climbing again. So now they've built this big dome over the thing, and I think they're putting a more permanent structure that'll last 1,000 years. But since then, they've had spelunkers and explorers actually go in on purpose and climb down and see the elephant's foot and take pictures of it and stuff. And those people haven't died. So a lot of the fissile material has apparently reacted.
Because I'm pretty sure that's where the bones of the elephant man ended up.
Could be. I think we might be contaminating one story with another, but it's interesting. When you look at like the fallout and what's happened since, some people study the insects and birds and stuff. There are lots of birds born with, like, the underbeak is really tiny, and then they looked at
Steven.
Yeah, like
Steven.
Yeah. There's a thing about spiders in Fukushima where the spiders around the area can't make normal looking spider webs. They're all fucked up. They look like they're on, spiders on LSD. So anyway, it was interesting. It's kind of a sad story. And it's just the perfect storm of how all the fucking things go wrong at the same time. Like in the reactor, they probably would have stopped things earlier, but they only had one temperature gauge for the reactor, and it was up at the top. So when they started getting, like, superheated steam evacuations and partial meltdown, they didn't put the control rods in right away because they only had one sensor at the top.
Yeah, this happens.
And that wasn't where it was hot.
Yeah.
It's up by the control arms.
So basically that kid who made the Boy Scout who made the reactor in his potting shed did a better job than they did at Chernobyl.
Well, I mean, they were able to run the thing at 3,200 megawatts, which is probably a lot more than the potting shed reactor could have done. But I gotta say, I mean, that kid didn't kill anyone with acute radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
And this was it was just a lot of design flaws and a lot of fucked up socialism running rampant.
I think Australia does a lot of nuclear power. And
nuclear power is amazing if you do it right.
Well, it's
so clean.
Yeah, as long as you don't do it in like a major city. I think you need to have a good area of fallout. But also they do it right up against the ocean because they've got all the access to free water. Right?
They suck the water out from the ocean to cool the thing. Yeah. I got to say though, there'd be very few jobs that I think would be cooler than being an operator at a nuclear power plant. I think that I don't know what it is that appeals to me about it. I think it's quite cool.
Our neighbor next door worked at La Pro, which would have been made before 1983, surely, because Point La Pro was there. So it would probably have even less in terms of safety than Chernobyl would, because...
Well, the type of reactor is different. So in like our reactor, if it runs out of water, fewer reactions happen. That's one thing.
Right.
But also, it doesn't. If they run a scram, like a shutdown of the reactor, it can just drop the rods in. They will automatically fall into it, as opposed to needing hydraulics to push it in.
Yeah, lowered slowly.
I'm going to send you a picture of a deformed piglet from the Chernobyl site.
Oh. I'm going to send you a picture of a deformed penis.
It's mine. Would you like to see my bell end? Anyway, there's no real synopsis here. Fukushima happened after. We haven't learned really from our mistakes. The thing is that if you build a system that's extremely fucking complex, something is going to go wrong. And I think you need an extra level of like backup so that things don't go all the way wrong. And we just refuse to learn that because it costs money, I think. But I don't know. Right. You get the fucked up piglet picture?
Yeah, did you get the penis picture?
4 or 5 legs.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. It would not have lived.
Is that a koala penis?
That's what they look like.
I bet it smells like eucalyptus.
I don't know.
Never got that close, mate.
They've got a forked penis, and female koalas have 2 vaginas.
That's interesting. Yeah. Why?
Oh, one for each side.
One for fucking, one for peeing.
Oh God.
Why don't everybody have 2 vaginas?
Why don't everybody? Why don't everybody? Why don't everybody have 2 vaginas?
That could be the name of the podcast.
Why don't everybody have 2 vaginas? Well, thanks for listening. I hope you learned something, because that's what this one was all about.
I'm sorry. I got really into it. I'll do something less weird for the next one. I'll go back to a normal paranormal bullshit story.
Yeah,
The thing is, you can't debunk Chernobyl because the shit actually happened. But debunking stuff is fun. This piglet picture is so fucked. It's
I do want to.
Arms coming out everywhere.
It did intrigue me. I'm probably going to watch a YouTube documentary on Chernobyl. I feel like I have previously, but then in hindsight of the last hour, I realized that it wasn't thousands of children being born deformed. I'm thinking of Hiroshima. So
that's a different thing.
That's a different thing. Also radiation, but
did you know that the
worse.
Soviets built a bomb, a nuclear bomb called the Tsar-Bomba, which was released
Tsar-Bomba.
Yeah. A 50 megaton bomb, and they could have made it 100 megatons. I just want to say 50 megatons is 3,200 times the size of the Hiroshima bomb. That exists.
Well, it would blow up the entire world. And
well, no, they actually blew it up in the Arctic.
Just for a laugh.
For good.
And they wonder why the fucking ice caps are melting.
You think this bomb is bad? We'll make bigger bomb.
You want to see a big wave? I'll show you a big wife.
Alexei, I'm going to show you the biggest bomb you ever saw. But first, let's have a drink. Are you sure we've designed this safe enough, Piotr? Yeah. Alexei, you worry too much.
Don't worry, it's surrounded by ice. It'll be fine.
You will cool it.
Cool. It's going to be so cool, Lexi, you would not believe.
I shouldn't make fun of them. These guys, I gotta say, are brilliant engineers.
Well,
wait a minute. Does the koala penis have 2 bits at the end?
yes.
Maybe that's why they have 2 vaginas.
Yes.
Ah.
That's why it's a weird penis, Jake. I wasn't going to send you just a normal penis.
Well, I thought it was just, your standard weird animal penis.
No, this
They all
one's
look
even
weird.
weirder. This one, like a cat's penis. Did you know? Okay, a little bit of a tangent. Cats' penises are barbed because when male penis, when the male
usually
pulls his penis out of the female, it elicits a pain response, which then causes her to ovulate. So they are induced ovulators. They are not cyclical ovulators. So the pain elicits ovulation, just like the camel and the koala.
And now you know about the pussy penis.
There you go.
It's
a little barbed
pussy,
penis. So all those
pussy
women
joke.
who are like, I've got a headache, I don't want to have sex. It could be worse. Okay, Aaron, my penis could have barbs on it.
Yeah, you could have a vagina ache.
Yeah.
but
So
you won't because it's like throwing a hot dog down a mine shaft.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You've had a lot,
and
of
it's
kids,
not because she's.
It's not
because it's loose. It's because I've got a very tiny penis.
Very, very small. Very small penis.
Yeah.
It's okay. We have big bomb though.
Big bomb.
You don't need big penis, Piotr. You have biggest bomb.
Yeah, we're going to melt some ice caps today. Want to come?
Women like big explosions. Believe me. Also, handbrake turns in your Lada. If you can do a handbrake turn, it's like their pants just fall right off. It's
Oh
amazing.
my gosh. All right, gang. Thanks for listening, weirdos. Be sure to send your stories to onefootinthegravepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us at onefootinthegravepodcast.weebly.com for all the links to social media, YouTube, and
maybe a
our
picture of
email
a
address.
deformed piglet.
No, we don't have the copyrights to that. But you can
I
just.
think it is because it's on Wikipedia. I think you got that.
No, I definitely think not. But you could
Stock
just
photo?
Google deformed piglet.